Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
I'm with Geeta Ramaseshan, an advocate at the Madras High Court and very well known for her writings and her commentary on women's issues and gender issues, and Mr. Alok Kumar. He is the Central Working President of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, as well as an advocate at the Delhi High Court. Both of you, welcome to ThePrint.
Thank you.
So at the print debates today, we are discussing the ordinance passed by the UP government, which is called the Prohibition of Unlawful Religious Conversion Ordinance, and recommends very tough sentences, 1 to 5 years of imprisonment, if the accused fails to prove that a woman was converted not for marriage or by allure and force, basically against what the UP government is terming and what large sections of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad and other organizations of the RSS are describing as love jihad. So to you, Alokji, the question to you is, what is love jihad?
Well, I'd like to begin by saying that two consenting adults agreeing to marry is permitted under the Indian law and the Constitution. And the Vishwa Hindu Parishad has no objection to that.
Okay.
Even if one of them is a Muslim and the other is a Hindu. The law punishes only those cases when such is not the case. And the consent of the girl is obtained by some deceit, fraud, coercion, or other unlawful means. And every person who believes in the dignity of women would agree with us that such practices, if they exist, or such cases, if they happen, need to be curbed by the law.
But are you saying that if a woman or a man who are above 18 years, if a woman is above 18 years and the man is above 21 years, they're both majors, both adults, the Constitution of India. And by the way, we are celebrating the anniversary of the Constitution on the 26th of November. Are you saying that according to the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, is not valid?
I didn't say that. I said the opposite thing.
Okay.
I said that if two adult persons, where the boy is 21 years plus and the girl 18 years plus, then irrespective of their religion, their marriage is valid.
Okay.
But if there is a case where the consent of the girl has been obtained by some deceit, fraud, or misrepresentation, then it is not acceptable.
But how are you going to decide that?
The UP Act sets up a mechanism for it. A person, when in a case of an interfaith marriage, will have to give notice to a designated authority. The authority would make investigations. If they find that the consent is free and informed, then there would be nothing to it. The marriage would happen. But if they find that there is misrepresentation or fraud, then they would take action.
Okay, Geeta Ramaseshan, what do you make of what Mr. Alok Kumar just said?
There is already a legislation, the Special Marriage Act, where two people of different religion can get married, and you can also register other forms of marriages under that law. So even if two Hindus or two Muslims or two Christians were to marry, they can register it under the Special Marriage Act, which also provides for notice to be issued, a month's notice, 1 month to 3 months notice. So I would think that if conversion is the issue, then what we actually need to encourage is for couples to get married under the Special Marriage Act. Investigation, which would then you give a complaint, from what I understand, Alokji, is that you give a representation to the magistrate, and then based on that, there will be an investigation done as to whether the consent is free or fair or coercion. would actually only lead to criminalizing the right to marriage, is it not?
No, it won't. Because the moment the government finds that the consent is free and willful and informed, the government would say, yes, all right, go ahead. I'll, I was reading into an affidavit filed by a couple in Chandigarh High Court. The boy was a Muslim and the girl was a Hindu. They came to Delhi, went into an Arya Samaj, which is a suspect Arya Samaj in my understanding. The boy converted himself into Hindu and obtained a certificate. The very next moment, they married under the Arya Marriage Validation Act and obtained a certificate. And within the next 2 hours, both of them converted to the Muslim religion.
But what is your problem with that, Alokji? I don't understand. If somebody wants to convert from Hinduism to Islam, Islam to Hinduism to Christianity, as long as they're adults, what is the issue with that?
There's no issue with that.
Okay.
The Constitution permits that. The law permits that.
So then why are you upset? If people want to do it, they want to convert, they want to
we
get
are not
married.
upset.
Okay.
I mean, don't impose your opinions onto us.
Okay.
If there is an informed decision to convert, in my understanding, there is a perfect right to do it.
But why does the UP government feel that it needs to bring an ordinance? This has never happened before. Why is the UP government today
Sorry.
that...
As far as the issue of religious conversion is, the ordinances were the law was first passed in Madhya Pradesh and Odisha.
Right.
In the 1960s.
Mm-hmm.
And in both those states, the ruling party was the Congress.
No, let's not listen.
Wait a second.
Because the Congress has done something,
Wait a second.
doesn't mean that you're bound to follow that bad example.
I may be a bit slow in my answers, but you'll have to hear my answers before you interrupt.
Fair enough. Go ahead.
Both those laws were challenged in the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
The Supreme Court upheld those. And then there was a review, and the Supreme Court rejected the review. Now, the issue at stake is not a voluntary and informed conversion. The issue is whether a conversion is brought about by inducement, misrepresentation, or fraud. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that the law does in this case is that they give a notice to a designated officer. The government satisfies itself that the conversion is voluntary and informed, and that is all about it.
No, that is not all about it. No, that is certainly not all about it. Geeta Ramaseshan, would you like
Alokji, the legislations of Madhya Pradesh and Orissa, which you had mentioned, where the issue, I think, was the right to propagate religion does not include conversion. I think that was the finding of the Supreme Court. Yeah.
Right.
So it was on a larger scale conversion issues, those legislations came. That the issue I would think here is that 60s judgment, 70s judgment, it was looking at conversion of a different kind. That here I would think that now, whether you marry a Hindu or you marry any person of any religion, you may end up with a wrong man. That's a different issue. And people do end up with wrong spouses. But I would think that here, I see it as even before parties exercise their choice, the state intervenes in a very different way. After all, when the right to choice in the context of a spouse, and the Supreme Court has held, in Khushbu's case, Allahabad High Court has held recently, flows from a constitutional right under Article 21. I personally, Alokji, see this as a strong intervention by the legislative body to control that right to choice, and in the process also maybe harass people.
Alokji?
That's an assumption. Every law can be misused.
No, but let's talk about the freedom of choice. We are right. Yes, there could be harassment by vigilante groups, but let's talk about freedom of choice. Whether it's deceitful or not, there is freedom of choice involved.
No, sorry. If it is deceitful, it is not freedom. It is manipulation.
But how are you to judge that?
I'm not judging it.
Your UP government wants to clearly judge it.
That's right.
Judge it. I would say prejudge it.
Because we have documented cases where the Muslims have posed as Hindu boys. They gave their names as Hindu names. They wore a kalaba onto their wrists. They had a Babylon onto their heads. And they represented as if they were Hindus.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore the consent of the girl was obtained by a misrepresentation. All that the UP government is doing is not interfering with the free choice.
So how many cases like that do you have?
We recently made a case list of 170 such cases, but there are hundreds of others.
No, 170 cases
and the government of Uttar Pradesh examined 17 such cases and found criminality in 13 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, it is not a question of number of cases. Even if there is one such case, it is bad enough. If there is one case of a religious conversion brought about by inducement and not by a matter of change of conscience, it is a bad thing. So the state is not interfering with the choice.
No, but for 13 cases,
the state is only ensuring that there is a free choice. If there is a free choice,
may I say this? Okay.
Yes, go ahead, Geeta Ramaseshan.
May I say this? I personally feel that this addresses or looks at women as if they are it treats them in an infantile manner. Now, a cheating misrepresentation already has a lot of provisions under the law. It's not as if a woman feels it's somebody misrepresented and got married to her. There are enough mechanisms under the law, including under the criminal law. On the other hand, by preventing a process, you're actually treating a woman as infantile, as if she has no choice over her agency. As if she cannot decide for herself. And I think state has taken on a very paternalistic role, taken on a role in which, you think it's the woman has no business to make a choice of this nature. And therefore, if at all she decides on a choice of this nature, make it extremely hard for her. In the process, when you go to the magistrate court, make it very difficult. As it is, I feel that there are instances when the Special Marriage Act, which requires 1 month to 3 month notice, and the notices are put up on the notice board of the registrar, people are being harassed for having married outside the community. This has happened for a long time. And this is well known.
Alokji, your response to this?
I would not agree with that approach. It is not paternalistic. It is not treating the women as dumb. It is recognizing as a matter of fact that there have been cases of such kind.
No, but she's saying, but Geeta Ramaseshan is saying that there are enough laws, enough criminal laws to deal with matters of deceit, of misrepresentation, of allurement, of any...
Therefore, the argument is now different. Her argument is that yes, laws should be there, but there are. And so there should not be one more.
But why do you need another ordinance?
I didn't say that.
That's what you meant with, you said there are enough laws.
I meant that if there is a case of cheating, there are enough approaches and laws to address that issue.
That
the IPC.
That happens after the marriage. Now, here is now a mechanism.
Are you going to try and prevent such a marriage from taking place, Mr. Alok?
We would not. The only thing is that, and I would repeat it probably the third time because you're asking me that question. We are not contesting that two adult persons have a perfect right to decide to marry. the state is only examining if their decision is informed or upon a misrepresentation or
Why is it
inducement.
the business of the state? That's the
May I
question.
say this?
In
May
any
I say
civil-
this,
in any
Alok
civil-
ji?
in any
Can I
civilized
say
society,
no? Can
in
I?
any civilized society, it would be the business of the government to see that nobody is duped,
Can I?
nobody is
Sorry.
taken for a ride.
I mean, I'm
Can
sure
I say? Can I respond?
Yes.
Why
Yes.
not look at that with in a case of marriage between two Hindus? There can be misrepresentation and cheating. So many women are cheated and put off into some other field. So why not address that for all communities, inter-community marriages too? Why should it be only for an inter-religious marriage?
Because such cases are in abundance in the case of interfaith marriages.
You said 17 cases.
No. I said, no, I mean, don't put words in. I said 170 cases that we have published a list of, and those are only sample cases. And I said in Meerut, the government asked the police to investigate 17 recent cases, and they found criminality in 13 of them.
So in the entire state of Uttar Pradesh, you found
Not the entire, they took up some sample cases to find out the extent of it.
But these sample cases are 170.
But there are hundreds of cases. And I said, even if there is one case, we are not going on numbers. Even there is one case, it is bad enough. We are protecting the dignity of the women.
Can I add to that? Let's take, for example, cases of trafficking, where a Hindu man cheats a woman, marries her in some form, sends her off into trafficking. How is that different from interreligious marriages of the kind, Alok ji, that you're saying? So if that is what you're looking at, why not investigate every marriage?
Are you looking at that, Alok ji? That say a Hindu man is trafficking girls, whether they are Hindu girls?
Yeah, on the basis of on a cheating of marriage.
Yeah.
See, when that happens after the marriage.
No. This is a promise. The Hindu man or the Muslim man is promising that I will marry you, come with me. And then he's trafficking these young girls.
How many cases we know?
And the law takes action in that also. Now, you
are not worried about inter-community. You're only worried about Hindu-Muslim marriages. Is that what you're worried about?
We are worried about both.
No, but right now,
there is a law when a person says that I'll marry you, and then makes.
No, but one second. This ordinance that the Uttar Pradesh government is bringing, that is restricted only to.
Yes, because it deals with a specific problem. A specific problem, the magnitude of which is widespread in Uttar Pradesh and other states. And
which other states?
Probably in the entire state, in the entire country. And we
I would think the other.
And we were not the first to use the term love jihad. It was the Christian Council in Kerala which first used this term.
Okay.
But it's a problem that we must face. It's a problem that we must face and try to resolve. There is no restriction on interfaith marriages in the UP law. None at all. The government only ensures that the freedom of choice has been exercised with the freedom and information. So
are you saying that after the UP government, now the governor is likely to sign this ordinance and the law will then come into being? Is that correct, Alokji?
I assume so.
Okay. So in that case, you said that these cases are spread all across the country. Am I to assume from your comment that other states will also then do a law like this or an ordinance?
We would request. We have requested all the governments to pass such a law.
Like which governments have you requested?
All the governments in our public addresses in all the states of the country. We would like such a law to be enacted by
you would like, but I'm asking you, you're the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, you're an arm of the RSS. Is that what the RSS wants? That all the BJP governments are going to have a law like this?
One, we are not the arm of the RSS. Two,
you're an affiliate of the RSS. You're one of the Sang's organizations, aren't you?
Not that I know of.
I see. Okay.
We take inspiration from RSS. We
Right.
consult them. We are not a branch.
Okay.
Anyway, let's.
So you would like at least
That would
all the
take-
BJP governments. You
that
would
would
like
take
the
a
BJP
diversion.
governments. No, let me just ask you this question. You would like the BJP governments to follow the Uttar Pradesh example and to have laws like this in their states. Is that
You would
correct?
like the BJP governments, the AAP government.
No, the AAP government. I'm not sure that the AAP government is going to listen to you.
They
But
may
at
not.
least the BJP. But at least the BJP government. I'm asking you a direct question. Can you answer me whether you would have already requested at least the BJP governments to have a law like this?
We have not made any formal request to any government, but we would expect all the governments, including the BJP governments, to legislate such a law.
I see. Geeta Ramaseshan, do you have a...
Well, I would still think that inter-religion, within the same religion, the problem which Alokji mentions is far more acute if we are looking at cheating and, if we are looking at somebody getting misguided. So the question then for me would be, a law like this is only seeking to criminalize the right to choice even before they decide on whether they want to get married or not. So I think it's essentially, I rather think that the government should encourage people to get married under the Special Marriage Act. Why not that?
The only difference is that under the Special Marriage Act, it is discretionary for a couple to go there. We only want this, that discretion is converted into a mandatory provision.
An investigation. The discretion is converted into an investigation.
So let me.
Therefore, there is a greater criminalization.
No, it is not.
The right to choice.
Investigation does not mean criminalization. It only means finding out.
Finding out. So
there is no criminality. There is no punishment. There is nothing in it.
So let me ask you another question.
It does force a punishment, right? If I'm not able to prove as a woman, what is the degree of proof?
Then there is no punishment.
No, so
how do you prove?
By your statement.
Okay, let me ask you another question, Alokji.
Let me give you an illustration. They both apply. The girl is asked the name of the boy. She says he is Sunil Kumar. She is told that he is not Sunil Kumar. He is such and such. The girl then knows that he is a person of a different faith. She says, I am all right with him. I am all right with his religion. I still want to marry him. Go ahead and do it.
So who is going to take this? The district magistrate?
Or an officer appointed by him would ask some questions and that would it.
I see. So the district magistrate, under whose jurisdiction the Special Marriages Act also comes, is now in addition going to take charge of this. But let me ask you...
Or an officer designated by him.
When Yogi Adityanath came to power in Uttar Pradesh, they formed these Anti-Romeo squads. What was that about?
Well, what I have seen in the newspapers is that he ensured that the boys do not flock outside the gates of the girls' colleges or schools and harass them.
Okay. And is that successful?
I'm told that it has been.
So now you are taking this one step further with the UP ordinance.
It is a question of saving the honor and dignity and freedom of the women.
I see. So like we said...
Besides that, so should the state decide?
May I say something?
Sure.
Sorry, sir.
When you laughed at my answer, all of us have made certain biases about each other.
There are no biases. The question is not... No.
Made a bias against
Let me interrupt you right here. There are absolutely no biases. The reason I laughed was because you are saving the dignity and honor of women. I don't see why the Vishwa Hindu Parishad...
I said about the law.
I'm also talking about this ordinance. Why is the UP government believe it's their business to save the honor and dignity of women? It doesn't make sense to me.
Who else if not the law?
But that's not the business of the government to do that. There are enough laws already that are taking care of cheating, impersonation, all kinds of things.
Whose business it is if not of the government? If there are cases of such kinds and there are some safeguards are provided in the law, then why should be there such a noise about it?
So, Geeta, do you have an answer to that?
I just think, I have to, under this ordinance, we have not, I'm in the South, we have not had an opportunity to see the ordinance. I don't know whether it's out. It's like, I have to make an application. I have to prove that I have made the right choice. Now, already we know that in an inter-caste or an inter-religious marriages, there are a lot of tensions.
Not the right choice, the informed choice.
All right, okay. An informed choice. And after that, so the burden is on me to prove that it is an informed choice. So therefore, I still think it is a state that is actually interfering in the right to choice.
So let me conclude by asking you a couple of questions. Why is it that no other BJP government, Atal Bihari Vajpayee ran the government at the center for 6 long years from 1998 to 2004? There was no question of any such ordinance. Why is it that this is happening now?
Because the problem is aggravated now. And Atalji could not perform many other things that he believed in, like Article 370 and other things. He believed in those. There is a time for everything. There is a question of capacity of doing things, having the requisite majority and support for it. I mean, the argument that because Atalji did not do it, so Modi should not do it, would not be a valid argument.
So what is the argument then?
The argument is that the problem has arisen. It is aggravating, and therefore there should be some safeguards for the women.
So obviously the Modi government is therefore cognizant of this aggravated problem.
As far as of now, the UP government has done it. The MP government, the Haryana government, the Karnataka government, and the Assam government have said that they are contemplating such a law.
Okay. And my last question to you, Alok ji, is whether you have heard of a writer called Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. Have you?
And I am sure you have heard of Mahatma Gandhi.
I've heard of Mahatma Gandhi, but have you read a book that he has written called Durgesh Nandini?
Yes, I have.
And do you know that the protagonist of that novel, a girl called Aisha Khan, falls in love with a man called Jagat, who is the son of her father's enemy, and she calls him her Praneshwar. What do you make of that?
I said I would repeat that the VHP does recognize that a Hindu girl or a boy has a right to marry a Muslim girl and boy of her free choice. And we are not interfering with that.
Actually, you just said informed. You didn't even say free.
They are free, yes. They are free, yes.
Okay, on this note, thank you.
I just think it will lead to harassment. And it interferes in your right to choice.
Thank you so much, Geeta Ramaseshan, for giving us your view on this, your informed view on this about free consent of choice, of informed choice. And to you, Mr. Alok Kumar, thank you for your time, for participating in the print debates. That's all we have for you today.
Thank you.